Casper, not the friendly ghost, but the Holy Ghost. Today, and I'm here to make you shout. Glory be to the one who knows what the funk's about, y'all.
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta, where the smell of nerd funk is finally receding.
It's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm a member of the not C party. Got to put those spaces in there.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
Jawohl. Oh,
Yes.
whoops. Oh, what a giveaway.
Careful. It's a fair cup. Yes, yeah, it is over. It has come and gone, the annual Nerd Fest of DragonCon.
Of which I did not attend.
Yep.
So I did not see
Yes.
any of it.
Yes.
So there we go.
So I will report. It was a good year as always. I got kind of waylaid. We cut it short because Sunday night the crud hit me bad.
Now explain to people who are not familiar with cons in general what the Con Crud
Imagine
is.
being in an airplane for 5 days. That's kind of what it is. It's you're in DragonCon is someone asked me to try to explain it, and I was like,
It's like a rugby scrum that doesn't end and nobody gets a chance to shower.
well, they were talking in general, like, oh, well, what is it? And it's like, well, it's kind of everything. I think it was one of the Lyft drivers because we kind of were bipping back and forth on Lyft.
You were bipping, huh?
Yeah, and bopping. Because our hotel was a little too far to walk.
Yeah, I when you mentioned where you're at, I'm like going, I understand you get free parking because you're
Free
next,
parking. I was right where I work. And
but that's a bit of a
well,
hoof.
we figured out that the DragonCon shuttle bus was right in front of our hotel, and we figured out finally. It took us 2 days, but we figured out where to pick it up. It was like right in the gauntlet between the Marriott and the Hyatt. So, but one of the Lyft drivers was like, he was from, I think he said he was from like Senegal or something. He was a really nice guy, and we chatted back and forth. And
What? You mean he's an immigrant and he didn't try to rape and or murder?
I know,
you?
right?
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't surprised at all.
We've been lied to.
But we were trying to explain what was going on because he picked us up near it, and there was people in costumes and everything, and it's a convention and this and that, and he was like, well, what is it for? And it was like, well, it's kind of everything. The DragonCon there's not one focus. It's literally
it's everything.
It's literally everything.
Anything that they can cram under the umbrella of pop culture, to be honest,
and even more than that.
Yeah, because Comic-Con in San Diego, where I grew up, so my hotel costs were, zero.
Did you go to con back in the day?
Yeah. Not as often as I could have, and I suppose should have.
Yeah.
But when I went back in the day, it was actually manageable.
Right.
I mean, now, good grief. I mean, people that have been going for years that live right there, the tickets are like, all right, and they're on sale, and now they're sold out.
Yeah.
Just like that.
And it gets up to like 150,000 people or something.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Oh yeah. It's ridiculous, and people are
and
saying
DragonCon's like 65,000.
I think
70.
they hit 70 this year.
Right, and that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I can
of people.
imagine.
And considering the fact that where Comic-Con is one place. Now there are hotels around.
It's one convention center.
But it's one convention center.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, it is massive. Yeah. I mean, it's big. The panel I remember the most is the one where Clive Barker was appearing, and I actually got to ask him a question.
Yep.
Amongst the probably 15,000 other people in this room. It's a room with it's basically the size of most other maybe smaller cities. That's their entire convention hall. This is just a room in the convention hall. So but back then it was relatively manageable.
Yeah.
From what I heard, hear tell now, San Diego Comic-Con is just every company that has even anything to sell, market, that is where, where they go. Because when I was there, I think the last time I was there, they showed us the animatics for Beauty and the Beast, the pencil drawings that hadn't been, fleshed out. And they, the animation, we got to see it. We're like, ooh, that's nice. Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Nowadays, it's like, cough it up. Where's the shit? Bring us the bring us the exclusives. We demand that. This is Comic-Con. This isn't, That's
why people go. Is
right,
for
exactly.
The big surprises and the
right.
big.
And of course, being in the room with the people that made them is nice. But let's face it, if you really want to be the first person to see something, you'll be close. But within a week, all this shit will be up online anyway.
Oh, and now it's within minutes.
Right, because people, they're trying to discourage you from taking your own shaky, grainy cell phone footage.
What's what happened with
and then putting it out.
Yeah, that's what happened with both Batman, Superman, and Suicide Squad. The trailers, like they were going to be released a week or so after Comic-Con.
You can't do that.
And they were out. Shitty, shaky
right.
versions were out.
Right. And if you're a person who worked on that film, and the first view that a lot of people get is some grainy cell phone thing, you're like, fuck, why did we wait to release that? Well, now they don't.
No, you can't. You
can't anymore. So nowadays, it's more of like, if you're going to be attending Comic-Con, or DragonCon in this case, you're expecting something.
Well, Comic-Con, and now Comic-Con has even gone over, like almost jumped the shark with that, because like NBC will come with its random Tuesday night sitcom.
Exactly.
And
it's like, what
now
does this
it's
have
like
to do with any? Well, one of the tertiary characters once played an extra,
but it's not
on
even
an
that.
episode
They don't
of
even,
Firefly.
From what I understand, they don't even care anymore.
Right,
It's just
no.
what they're pimping at the time.
They're just trying.
It's just a big venue to pimp their.
It's basic, like I said, it's a big pop culture suckfest.
Right.
And okay, I mean that's gilding the not even gilding the lily. It's just superfluous to why a lot of people are there, and that's fine. There's so many, anything that'll draw a few hundred people away from something else that you want to go to. Seriously, the very first time I went, I was dating a girl named Christine. I tend to date a lot of Christines.
You have.
I did two and one here. And the night before, I went through the printed schedule. And I went, all right, I want to do this. And I put together, me, I'm Mr. Organization and Schedule. And when I picked up Christine, I said, all right, I've got a list. He goes, oh, that's nice. And then that list was never consulted ever again. Because, it's like going to like Music Midtown or Street Scene in San Diego. You want to see A, but half an hour of their set runs into the opening of the next set.
Right.
So are you going to watch REM or the Sex Pistols? I'm like, sorry, it's got to be Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
REM will be back. Whoops. Well, maybe not for long.
Well, I was trying to explain that basic principle to we had a coworker of mine had never been, and it was her first year. She was really excited. Her and her husband were going to meet us and everything. And months ago, I was like, oh yeah, it's this and that, and I was like, well, here's the fundamental truth about DragonCon is there is never for 5 straight days nothing to do.
Oh yeah,
there is literally too much to do.
And that can be almost as bad as nothing to do, because with nothing to do,
because you're gonna miss stuff.
Yeah, but with too much to do, you're missing out on stuff.
Right. Right. It's just you just gotta dive in and do as much as you can do.
Do you wait in line for 4 hours so you could see Patrick Stewart, or do you do 5 other things?
Yes.
And it depends on your priorities.
Right.
Judging by the line I stood in and then got out of and said, screw this shit. A lot of people placed a high priority on Patrick Stewart.
Well, I did that one year, the year Terry Gilliam was coming. I was like, okay, we're going to go, and we waited in line, I want to say 2.5 hours for his panel. Yep. It might have been 3 hours for his panel.
We did well when we were.
And then, well, that was luck, but and then we immediately left the panel and got in line for his autograph signing and waited another 2.5 hours because it was like, this is what's happening.
So basically, the time that we got in, like, pretty easily, And then I just got an autograph thing right there in front of everybody. Was a stroke of just a...
Yes, that was all complete luck. But it was great. Every now and again, that kind of stuff happens.
That was my first, like, Python. I think that's my only Python handshake. I mean, yeah, that's it.
Right.
I've never shook hands with any other Pythons. But I got the American one. Well, all right. We love you, Terry. You're good. Sorry to hear about what happened with your film, and then it was bad, then it was okay, then it was bad, then now it's okay again.
Yeah, we hope so. I hope it gets released in America at some point.
Ownership. I mean, poor Terry.
This movie is...
You know, he's going to start getting the George Lucas, you know, it's like, no matter what I do, shit happens. And of course, in George Lucas's case, it's the fans shit on over the shit that you do.
Yeah.
With Terry's case, it's like, man.
Well, and his whole career has been like that. He said, you know, he went over budget on one movie and he was branded for the rest of his life. I mean, it was Munchausen and he went way over budget.
He went way over. And then it underperformed. See, now James Cameron went way over budget on Titanic.
Yeah.
And then for a long time, it was the top grossing film of all time.
Yeah.
So you're forgiven. If
Exactly.
Titanic had totally flopped, he would have been branded and we would have been saved from Avatar.
Well,
it was fine.
It was fine, but no one cares.
Yeah.
That's my whole argument. Like, go to DragonCon, show me more than 2 people in costume from that movie, and I will give you all the money, because there is no penetration from that movie.
And nobody wants to paint their shit blue.
But even that, it's not
that.
nobody cares.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
they, you know, people painted themselves all kinds of colors. And,
you know, Amy, Nick's wife, she went as Holtzman from Ghostbusters.
Okay.
And nailed it. The costume was amazing. And she had people stopping with their kids to say, "Can we take a picture with you?" And I'm like, that's good.
Yep.
Because as much as, you know, the fanboys cried out about the remake of Ghostbusters, to little kids, to little girls especially.
Oh my God, it's huge.
That's their Ghostbusters, OG Ghostbusters for them.
Right.
So, you know.
I was thinking about it, and I have another point I'm going to get back to with DragonCon. But
We have a point?
I kind of do. I had one from back to Comic-Con.
The only point I have is on the top of my head.
Well, it's funny. Yeah. I bought basically for the new Spider-Man game that has just been released. I bought a PlayStation 4. I was like, I want that game, so I bought a refurbed PlayStation 4, and it came with a bunch of games. I bought a bundle, and it came with a bunch of games, and it was one of them was like, you know, you run around adventure type game, and I came to realize it's like, you know, in this day and age, I'm kind of tired of it. It's a white male protagonist in the game, and I was like, boring. I don't care. I want something different, and that's where we are now, which is really great. Going back to the Ghostbusters.
No, getting to
some of us are there.
Yeah, some of us are there. Yeah, getting to November. Just briefly, women are coming out and saying, "Oh, so grabbing the pussies? Okay.
Here we go.
We're gonna step in the ring and
grab the
go
nuts.
go ahead and start grabbing. See what happens, motherfucker."
Oh, yeah.
So I'm telling you, I'm very much in favor of Stacey Abrams.
Yeah.
Waiting for that. But anyway, we're not talking about politics.
My point, what I was going to say, going back,
yeah.
And this ties into the Ghostbusters thing, and whereas at Comic-Con, like I said, NBC and CBS, they'll drop their whole DragonCon. There isn't that. All of that stuff is celebrated, but it's all organic. The fans do that. Like, there was a whole bunch of Janets from The Good Place. You know, there was a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of just literally whatever you can think of.
And I have a feeling the reason why NBC doesn't show up at DragonCon, there's no room for them. Shit is maxed out. There is so much going on. You can get away with that at Comic-Con when there's like 700 rooms that are obviously, you know, the big halls are reserved for the big stuff, but you could do, you know, you could fill it up like, we got, you know, 30 extra rooms. Sure, NBC, come in and talk to us about the Chuck reboot or whatever shit you're trying to reboot at the moment, because you have no original ideas. There's some good stuff, I'm sure. But in Atlanta, DragonCon, it's parsed out over all these hotels and their ballrooms and meeting rooms. And there's a lot of room. Trust me, there's a lot of room. But at a certain point, it's like, do we want something that's native to DragonCon, or are we expanding into kind of the Outer Rim territories?
Yeah. I honestly, I think it's just DragonCon is just under the radar of all that stuff.
It's a bit of a different animal than Comic-Con.
Yeah, it's not. It's homegrown. It is kind of grassroots. It was started here by a disreputable person, and later it was taken on by better people. Let's say.
Yeah.
Not to get back into that, but because if you think about it, I mean, we've had big people, but you would think with all the freaking shooting that's done here film wise, Disney is here all the time. You would think they would have glommed onto it and jumped all over it, but no, it's still, we get big people, but it's still, it's still family oriented.
Let's put it this way. Comic-Con in San Diego will get Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill for The Force Awakens. Atlanta will not.
No, they won't get J.J. Abrams. They won't get Ryan Johnson. They won't get any of those guys.
But perhaps that is changing.
Well, I think DragonCon has the potential to get Mark Hamill. Harrison Ford, not a chance.
Well, yeah, because Harrison Ford barely probably wanted to do Comic-Con.
Right.
Mark Hamill's like, oh, sure, I'll go.
Yeah, he does them all the
has.
time. He does cons all the time.
Yeah.
And I plead with him on Twitter all the time. Please, just come to Atlanta. Please.
Yeah,
please.
Mr. chatting up with Chewbacca, hanging out on the Twitter with all these other
I have
names.
a weird skill of timing with and getting responses back from people.
Especially someone that you thought you saw and that you didn't see, but guess what? You did, because you tweeted him.
Yes.
And
Okay.
Tell
so
us the story.
This will haunt me for pretty much the rest of my life. Okay. Take a second. If you know who this is, well, okay, I'll go from the beginning. We were in the Walk of Fame on it must have been Friday. So the first real big day. Shit was going on, by the way, not to digress. Wednesday night the party started. Wednesday night, not even Thursday night. It used to be Thursday you go get your badge and there was a couple little things to do, and then Friday it kicked off. Shit was going on Wednesday, so it is getting bigger. Yep. So Friday
getting more concentrated.
Yes, people are like, we're going to do this for a whole week. We're in the Walk of Fame now at DragonCon, where most of the celebrities are in the Walk of Fame, signing, doing their autographs and stuff. When you get your Patrick Stewart, your Stan Lees, your Shatners, they're usually off in a separate room
to handle the massive overflow.
Yeah,
when Gil Gerard is signing photographs, you just get in the less than 10 person line and you're good.
Right, and the way it is set up, it's a big rectangular ballroom with tables all around the perimeter and tables in the center. Right. And it's a fairly sizable ballroom, obviously. And you just walk around, and there are little tape lines, and some of the bigger people have overflow, like, hey, okay, go over here or go outside. But most of you just kind of stand in front of their table and Disneyland your way around in a weird little pattern, and then you get, and there they are. So we're walking around, and I think this happened. I'm trying to remember the time, but at one point we were standing in front of a table, and all of a sudden they start like getting it ready, and they hang up the sign, or they turn the sign over, and it was Nick Frost's table. And I was like, well, fuck, let's just not move. And we were in line for Nick Frost. So we were like 5 in line for Nick Frost.
Nice.
And it was kind of funny because I was wearing my blue TARDIS shirt because we had photos with Catherine Tate later that day. And I was like, and I got up to Nick Frost and I shook his hand. And I was like, oh, it would have been cool to be wearing a Shaun of the Dead shirt, but I'm wearing a TARDIS shirt. Wait a minute, you were on Doctor Who. And he said, yeah, I'm canon. And he was as delightful and lovely as you would think he would be.
Yep. And that, to me, is a good portion of the joy of going to DragonCon, is to realize that someone whose work you've admired is just as nice and as affable as you would hope they would be, rather than, all right, sign, photograph, whatever, get the fuck out, just.
Yeah.
And you can tell, something like, my publicist said I had to do this, or I need the money,
Yeah,
or
and
whatever.
there are a very small contingent of people who do DragonCon for the money.
Right.
But almost every celebrity who shows up, and they seem very, very genuine. They're like, this is one of our favorite cons to do because everyone is so nice. The fans here are so cool and genuine, and just, almost every question when people ask at a panel, they say, thank you for coming to DragonCon. Yeah. Almost everybody. And the celebrities.
Well, because they know that, there's that other con that it seems to suck up all the star power.
Yeah.
And you came here.
Yeah.
So that's, and also on top of it, if you're a performer who does film and television, you don't get that response.
Yes.
Other than in numbers. You look at the numbers. Oh, there's the Nielsen's. Oh, there's the box office. It's cold. It's
a piece of paper.
It has no heart to it. But when you walk on stage for a panel and get introduced and everyone erupts and asks questions and says thank you, you're like, okay, this is putting an emotion to these numbers.
Yeah, what I'm
we
doing
opened with 30
something.
million at the box office. Says, okay, whatever, but these are the people that contributed to that opening weekend for you, and wow, okay.
I did a TV show 10 years ago that got canceled after one season, and these people are on their feet cheering for that show.
Exactly.
And me.
Exactly. So rather than be upset that, I'm a working actor, I've done other stuff, like, dude, there are a trillion actors out there that would kill to have that one hit that lasted a season that is in everyone's memory and they love so much. So I understand you're still working,
Right.
Quote unquote one hit wonder, but the job is to be a working actor, not to be a movie star. At least I would think.
Depends
some
on
people's motivations.
It depends on who you are.
Right, exactly. But anyway,
back to, so I believe that happened first. I believe the Nick Frost thing happened first. Then we kind of pulled off to the side and we were getting the picture. We were looking at the pictures and we ran into Claire and Andrew Sweeney.
Right.
And just, I was
and
like,
Jeremiah.
I didn't see Jeremiah
really?
at that moment. It was just the two of them wandering around. And then we ran into our friend Elizabeth Cooper, and we were talking, and
I didn't know Coop went to DragonCon.
yeah, she did. She did this year, so we got to hang out with her a bit.
Okay.
And they were talking, and a giant figure in what looked to be a white tuxedo and top hat walked by me.
All right, sidebar real quick.
Okay.
To paint the picture for people, I'd say probably 30% of the people that are walking around attending DragonCon are in some kind of costume.
Oh, dude, 65 to
You think
70%.
so? Really?
Easily,
Is it
yes.
that? Okay, all right.
There are more people in costume than not.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
absolutely.
You're more the expert than I am. So, this is how Mark Hamill can put on a stormtrooper outfit and nobody recognizes him. This is how Bryan Cranston can put on a Walter White mask and it's actually Walter White under the mask.
Yep.
And there are people walking around dressed as,
everything.
And there's mix-up. There's Hello Kitty stormtroopers. But then there's people who take great care to make their costume exactly like what they're trying to emulate.
Yeah, and the mashups and the kind of sidebar ones are the best because they're so creative. There was a guy, I saw a picture, I didn't see him in person, who did he built a whole couch around himself and a little end table, and it was it was Deadpool with the little baby legs. It was phenomenal. I've only saw it on pictures, and I read about one where it was how can I. It was a visual pun because it was a character from a cereal box wearing the Infinity Gauntlet.
Collect them all?
Nope. Crackle and Pop.
Oh, God.
Yes, it was Snap from the Rice Krispies wearing the Infinity Gauntlet, just walking around going like, So that's the kind of thing you can try.
I thought it was going to say, try delicious new Thanos.
That would see, people would do that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. So this giant, this giant figure. I mean, like towering over me, and I'm a pretty tall guy.
Well, and also probably has stacked heels that are probably
Right. I
easily
just see a giant
6
figure
inches.
in white walk by me, and my brain immediately spooled up, and I like froze, and I looked at Courtney, and I basically said, either that's the best cosplay I've ever seen, or that was fucking Bootsy Collins. Now, if you don't know who Bootsy Collins is, Bootsy Collins...
Then go home.
Well, go Google Bootsy Collins. If you've ever seen the D-Light, he was the bass player for Parliament
Yes,
Funkadelic.
okay.
He was the bass player when he was like 15. He was the bass player for James
Brown.
He, most commercial thing would be the D-Light
Probably.
Groove is in the Heart video. He's the guy with...
Groove is in the heart.
He's Bootsy, baby. He's a flamboyant, like 70s... he always has a big star-shaped bass guitar and star glasses and everything. And somehow, I don't know how, they must have whisked him out. I lost him in the crowd because my brain was like, was that Bootsy? Was that Bootsy? And I got kind of into our conversation. I kept looking around, and I couldn't shake it. And I was like, that was fucking Bootsy Collins, because somebody would be walking around as Bootsy Collins.
Sure.
But in my brain, I'm like, if they were dressed as Bootsy, they wouldn't be wearing that. They would have the star base. They would have a more iconic look.
Right.
So it just gnawed at me.
Not modern day Bootsy. They'd go for the 70s Funkadelic Bootsy.
Yeah, it wouldn't be just a large guy in a white tuxedo. It would be something else.
Right.
And it was gnawing at me, and I couldn't shake it. And finally, I just opened up my phone and went to Twitter and at Bootsy Collins, are you at DragonCon? ? And I, forgot about it for the rest of the day. And then let me pull it up.
See, that's the thing. You never know who's going to be walking around. Sometimes you'll walk out to the veranda to catch some air, and there's, Eric Estrada having a smoke, or whoever, because they're, the biggies like Patrick Stewart, he's not going to walk through any room. He'll get mobbed to death.
Right.
But certain other, I don't want to say lesser stars, but less less notable.
Well, even the notable ones, like the DragonCon royalty, Nathan Fillion can walk around and people will be like, "Hey, Nathan, hey,
really? Has he done that? Wow."
Yeah. So I later on in the day, I pull up my phone and I just happen to pop on Twitter, and there it is, replying Dan Bauman Bass and DragonCon. Hey, at Dan Bauman Bass, I just left. People came up and told me that I did a great Bootsy Collins lookalike. I was cracking up, Bootsy baby, and I kind of dropped my phone and wailed in horror. I could have talked to Bootsy Collins, because it's not like he was performing or he wasn't a guest there. He was just there.
He's Bootsy, baby.
He's Bootsy, baby, just walking around.
And if you don't, he is a bass player.
Yeah.
Dan is a bass player.
Yes.
And some of those amazing bass lines that have been repurposed into rap songs, he created those back in the day, not just with James Brown, but with I don't know if he was in Parliament and Funkadelic.
I think he drifted in and out of both
because it was kind of a collective. Sometimes it, the only consistent member
was George Clinton.
I believe. I'm not quite.
And to be honest, I'm not an expert. I have a couple of Bootsy records and I have a couple of Parliament records. I'm not an expert, but I know who Bootsy is, I'm a bass guitar player, and to just be able to have spoken with him for 5 minutes.
Hey, but you know what? Would you rather have? Well, you probably would have.
No, I would have. Fuck that. I would have rather talked to him for 5 minutes.
But you got to tweet back
and get a picture.
So that's nice.
So, and that's the funny thing about DragonCon. I was like, I don't know if that's really him or not. It was so.
That's right.
Because it very well could have been just a guy in a Bootsy Collins outfit.
If you bear a striking resemblance to to an actor or character and dress up like that, you never know. You might be able to blow someone's mind and be like, "Oh shit, you look just like except." Oh, you dressed up like Heath Ledger's Joker, and you look, but no.
And you can tell generally. So that was the big fail / win for me.
You saved it. You whiffed on the home run, but you got a pretty solid double.
Yeah. And I have that forever, which is kind of cool to get a tweet from Bootsy, but it would have been
print
better.
That out and frame it, and Bootsy Collins typed in my
replied to me.
Yeah.
You know.
So that was a pretty good. That was a pretty good.
That was pretty fun.
That was pretty good.
Like I said, Nick Frost was really great.
Let's talk about your Doctor Who. People.
So
because I saw one that I was very jealous of, and I think you know which one it is.
Captain Tate or Peter Capaldi?
Capaldi.
Yeah. So a couple years ago,
don't forget Karen Gillan.
Yeah. Well, here's what happened. 2 years ago, maybe 3, Karen Gillan came to DragonCon for the first time, and
in a wig.
I think it was a wig. Yeah.
Well, yeah, she had shaved for
Guardians.
For Guardians, yeah.
For Guardians too, and. The way they do, like I said, the Walk of Fame, she did have a table to Walk of Fame, but they're kind of weird and strict about taking photographs taking selfies it's up to the artists or the celebrities' discretion.
Right. Some people don't want, greasy little Edgar coming around and,
Yeah,
You
exactly.
saw what that damn pastor did to Ariana Grande at Aretha Franklin's. I mean, yes, he probably didn't mean to, but he was right on her boob pretty much. And I'm like,
I haven't even seen the picture.
yeah,
because
I'm
I
like,
didn't want to.
and you just know out of 1,000 people that are totally nice, there'll be one that is just inappropriate.
Yeah, and I just mean even that, just 10,000 people wanting to paw at you and take a picture, and
Right.
that can be much. So I get it. It kind of sucks, and it makes it a little. So what they do is there's a special area, and it's expensive, which is the only complaint about the whole thing, but it's a step and repeat backdrop. It's a professional photographer with a high-end camera. They're the celebrities there, and you get to walk up, hey, how are you? You turn around, they take a great picture of you with the person, like a perfect shot, and then 5 minutes later it's printed out, an 8x10 glossy, and you do it. So
they don't send you a digital?
You can buy one, but I was like, I got a scanner. Fuck that. I can do it myself. I'm not paying an extra $10 or whatever it is for them to send you a file.
Oh, got it. I'm just saying that, if that's the only evidence of it, and God forbid something happens to that picture. So
So I'm immediately,
Right.
you stick it in a thing. So the first time we did that was with Karen. No, that's a lie. The first time I did it was with Sean Marr from Firefly, because that was the only way he was doing it, and I had met. Up to that point, everybody else from Firefly except him and Gina Torres, because the first couple of years, the first year that any Firefly, which was maybe a year or maybe 2 after the series was canceled, it was Jewel State and Nathan Fillion. Right. And I've always told the story. We went to that first panel. And there was, 200 people in the panel, and I got up and asked a question, and they gave me
at the panel, not
at the
on the panel.
No, at the panel.
Like,
I got up and asked a question because Nathan and Jewel were giving away stuff. They were giving away Nathan had prop alliance money that he was giving out, and I asked the question because I would look at Courtney. I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to think of a question because I want to something, because they brought you up and got the thing. And I got a picture of Jewel was like, oh, this is, I forget what I asked. It was something, where were you when you heard that the series was canceled, or when the movie was happening? That's probably what it was. And Jewel said, oh, this is kind of special. She said, this is a Polaroid of my view of Serenity's engine that they had taken. And, in later years, I got her to sign it and everything. So I have a cool Polaroid from the set of Firefly. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And the next year, you couldn't get into the panel because there were so many people. Yeah. And over the next 2 years.
Well, because the people that didn't watch it on TV and didn't care that it got
finally
canceled,
were catching up.
Finally watched it on DVD and went, oh we should have watched this.
Right.
Yeah, you should have. And you also should have come to opening weekend of the film.
Yep.
But
anyway.
Okay.
But I think the year after that, Morena Baccarin and Adam Baldwin and Ron Glass. And
we lost Ron a couple of years ago.
We did. So I have a picture of me with Ron Glass.
Nice.
And after that, Alan Tudyk and Summer Glau had come. And so that was everybody up at that point.
Alan Tudyk's star has been a bit on the rise, shall we say.
He's been crushing it lately.
He just got cast in something pretty big. I can't remember what it is because it's not a property that I'm familiar with.
Okay.
But the announcement seemed like, oh, wow, that's a big thing. So that was a lot of information for you people that means absolutely nothing. Alan Tudyk is in a thing that's pretty good.
I don't know what it
Michael
is.
thinks, but he doesn't know what it's about.
I'll fix it in post.
We're doing it live. We'll fix it in post.
And up to that point, Sean Marr and Gina Torres were the only ones who had never come. Like
Gina Torres was here this year.
well, that was the other thing. Up until this year,
Right.
she didn't come to DragonCon. And so Sean Marr, going back, the only way he was taking pictures was at the Epic Photos, or it was at the time I think it was called Froggy Photos. So the first time it was dumb. So the first year I ever did that thing was like, well, I want to get a picture with him, and that's the only way. Okay, I'll pay the money and did that. So it's it's kind of an awkward big old 8x10
What's the going rate for that kind of stuff roughly? I mean, I'm sure it varies between
it varies
stars.
between it can be as little as $30 up to
As little as
up to $100, if not more, and even more than that if you get like group photos and stuff. So
$100.
Yes, and I'm not confirming or denying that I've paid that for some celebrities, but I have.
Yeah. Wow. Do they also like take you out to dinner and spill secrets about
you
the
would
upcoming?
think, but no. It's,
100. Wow.
Yeah, it's
Wow. So if that's a huge moneymaker.
Yes.
Now, obviously, I'm sure DragonCon gets their cut, their speakers bureau or whatever their
right, but still, I mean, $100 a shot, and you get 50, 60, in one session. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
So, and you know what? I'll look at it this way: if that kind of business, if that kind of business will bring certain people to DragonCon, but also be on panels and then do the photo thing, like, okay, if for someone that's like, I don't want to do it, you can make a lot of bucks. Just sit on a couple of panels and do a couple hours in the photo booth. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Cash is king, and perhaps that
they
might
seem-
get someone who's on the fence. Like, I don't think I want it. Well,
And they seem
all
to
right.
enjoy it. I mean, you can go out, and there are tons and tons and tons from other places and from DragonCon of people who take clever photos with.
Yes, yourself included.
Well, here's what happened. So the first year, like I said, Karen Gillan, the first year she was at DragonCon, I was like, we got to do it. It's the only way she's taking pictures. We got to do it. So Courtney and I went, and we got a picture with her. It was great. My friend Jenna, who works, Jenna from Dad's, she works.
Jenna S.
Yeah, Jenna S.
Yeah.
She works guest ops, and she's like she's a high muckety muck now, but at the time she was a runner. She would take, and she got assigned Karen Gillan, and during the panel, she got us into Karen Gillan's panel. Sorry, everybody, I hate doing it, but we get good seats sometimes to panels.
Hey,
I'm lucky enough to know somebody. Sorry.
you people out there, make your own friends with your own people.
And I've
you'll
waited
get
in
the same...
plenty of lines like a legit.
Oh no, my nerd rage is on full. You got better seats at one panel than I did.
Any one of you would trade places with me. Yeah. But anyway, during her panel, my phone buzzed, and I just happened to look at it, and it was Jenna, and said, "Look over to the right. You'll see me waving. Come bring your picture." And I snuck over, gave her a picture, and she got it signed for me from Karen,
nice.
which was great. So we had this picture of us with Karen Gillan.
Oh, so when the picture was originally taken, they wouldn't sign it? Well, I guess you have
Well,
to...
I just didn't go up and have her sign it. I didn't have to. I mean, I got it signed for free is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, she got it.
No, I'm talking about at the time it was taken.
No, it's like...
Because I guess you have to wait. If you have to wait for 10 minutes for it to get printed out, then you don't come back and get it.
No, it's pretty fast, the photo button. I mean, no, that's...
With
signing
today's
is a different
technology,
thing.
the shit's all digital.
And it's, they're gorgeous pictures. They're really nice. So, fast forward to last year.
Yeah.
Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor himself, showing up, and I was like, "Wow, okay, okay, let's see, let's get a picture with him. It's expensive, but we'll do it." And it was it's a little meat grindery because it's fast. It's like get in, get out.
I'm sure there's a person there that plays the "get the hell out, let's go" rather than forcing the star.
They're
to
nice
do it.
about it, but it is a move. It's move and
again,
go.
if you're not being inappropriate with a star, you want to linger too long. There's always somebody or something they have to have somebody to crack the whip.
Yeah, you're in and out in 30, 45 seconds at best. And for some dumb reason, I thought it would be funny to take a picture with Matt Smith holding the picture of us with Karen Gillan. I was like, to be like, hey, we're taking we got a picture with Matt Smith and Karen Gillan.
Right.
And swing around to this year, and they had announced Catherine Tate and Peter Capaldi. And I think somebody at work said, oh, yeah, I showed them the picture, and they're like, well, you got to keep that going now, don't you? And I was like, God damn it, it's a thing now, isn't it? And they were like, yeah, it's a thing. I was like,
did a thing.
I guess I'm doing that. So we got our pictures we set up the times, and, we paid the money, and we did it. And like we walked in, and Catherine Tate was lovely. She was there was a little more breathing room with her. It wasn't like, because there were so many people for Matt Smith. It was like, get in, snap, hey, go.
Well, like
we
I said,
barely even got to like look at him, much less it was like, hi, snap, and we were out.
Right.
She was like, hello, my lovelies. Oh, she was so sweet and so nice, and she was really tall. I was really surprised. She was like way taller than Courtney, like almost as tall as me. It was like, well, she must have been wearing heels, but I mean,
that's true.
Most actors are very small. So
Tom Cruise, 5'7". My God,
right,
tiny man.
You want me to act off the box?
Exactly. You get in the trench, or I get on the box. One way or the other, this is happening.
I get to fight the lion.
Easy.
So we take the picture with her, and I tilted. I had the picture, and I knew from last year, they're like, oh, tilt. Do you want that picture in the picture? I was like, yeah, and tilted. And she turned around, and she's like, well, what's the picture? And I turned around, I said, oh, it's us with Matt Smith holding a picture of us with Karen Gillan. She's like, oh, that's hilarious. Same thing. And then 2 days later, we had Capaldi. He was amazing. We were like, we could watch him taking pictures, and he was doing the pose, and he was hugging everybody.
I saw your picture with Capaldi. I was like,
he was just like, he was really excited, and we got in, and he was like, oh, hello, and I jumped to the side, and I got the picture with the picture, and he did the pose. And I just remember, as we were stepping away, I just tapped him on the shoulder, and we locked eyes for a minute, and he gave me a big smile, and it was like, that was great. That was
your eyebrows, my eyebrows.
Yeah. And
we're brow brothers.
Yep. And we didn't do Pearl Mackie, who was Bill this season. Oh. She was there as well, and I think we kind of tapped out money wise. It was like,
yeah,
we've paid a lot. Catherine Tate, we had to, because we loved her. We loved the Catherine Tate show before she was even on Doctor Who. And Capaldi was like a no brainer. It was like, yeah, it's fucking expensive, but it was worth it. And the run up to all this, I don't even know if you knew this.
Oh.
I put out a little tweet, at Dragon, what was it? Great weekend at DragonCon, at DragonCon. I was able to continue our Doctor Who Inception picture with, and I tell the whole thing.
Oh, I think I can see where this is going.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
All right.
And I happened to see somebody had replied to it, or like liked it and replied and said, oh, this is a brilliant achievement, and there was a link, and I was like, what is this link? And I tapped on it, and it was the Anglophenia Doctor Who roundup on BBC America, and my freaking picture made it on to
BBC?
to BBC America's website. Yes, they did a wrap up, and there was like a bunch of stuff from DragonCon with Capaldi. There was a video of a girl had made a Peter Capaldi doctor puppet, and it was him playing with the puppet for like 10 minutes and like talking with the puppet. And then there was like pictures of him. He was wandering the hallways.
Really?
Yeah, my friend Professor Bill from Dad's, he runs the tech in the Sheraton ballroom every year, and he said, yeah, some doctor guy walked in and hung out, and he said it was too loud, so he left. So he was just wandering.
Yeah, that ballroom is loud as hell.
And what they do at DragonCon is they have a bunch of quote unquote parties, and there's the last party on Alderaan, there's the evening at Bree, there's the zombie prom, and it's all just the exact same party. It's a big ballroom with booty shaking music, and it's fun. It's kind of themed, but it isn't. It's just a party with a bar, and it's great. And Bill was running.
Hey, if you got a bar, you got a party.
And Bill was running one, and he said Capaldi came in and said it was too loud and left. And so in the BBC thing, I'll show it to you when we're done. There was one of him just wandering the halls, and a bunch of girls had taken a picture with him, and there was a family all dressed as Cybermen in the hallway, and Pearl Mackie like ran up and like photobombed them, jumping in the picture with them, which is super cool. And then there's my big dumb ugly face with my little Inception picture, and it said something to the effect of, and this is the sort of cleverness the Doctor would appreciate or something. And I was like, well, son of a bitch, I didn't even know.
You know where you need to go next?
Where?
Well, at some point, Jodie Whittaker is going to show up somewhere.
Oh my God, yeah,
and continue. You could.
There was a DragonCon, the way they do it, they were teasing all the guests on Twitter every we've got this kind of guest coming from, and they'll tease it and then they make the announcement.
Right.
And they said, this week we've got a Doctor Who announcement and a Marvel announcement and a something else announcement. And I was like, I bet they're going to fuck us on this and make it Karen Gillan, which is not
because she's
Marvel
also
and Doctor Who.
Doctor
but
Who.
I was like, me and my buddy Cody at work, we're like, could it be Jodie? She just did Comic-Con. Could it be? And it wasn't. Too early.
It's too early.
We should have gotten the picture with Pearl Mackie. Now that I feel I'm bummed about it. But some friends at work were like, that picture has to keep getting bigger just so you can see the thing. And I was like, God damn it, this picture is going to be huge.
There are places.
Oh yeah,
even locally, you can take it and make a 16 by 20 poster.
Yeah,
just be real careful with it.
Yeah, that'll suck.
Well, you'll have to have a poster tube that you carry. You unroll it for the thing,
or have it mounted or something. I don't know, but
until it's finished, you don't want to have it mounted.
Yeah, but
otherwise you're carrying this big thing around.
Will it ever be finished? It's going to have to get 18 by 9 or whatever bigger, and it just slowly get that. If I keep doing it, which I most likely will.
As we all know, the Doctor can regenerate, so we could have another 50 years in our lifetime of new Doctors.
I mean, we've had old Doctors too. We've had Sylvester McCoy, and we've had Peter Davison, and we've had Colin Baker have all come to DragonCon. So it's like, well, shit, do I start going backwards? I think so.
Gosh, this is a project.
I was like, that's what I said. I was like, God damn it, this is a thing now.
This is your thing now.
This is my thing now.
You're the
and I
Doctor
have to
Who
do
Inception
this.
guy.
Shit.
Now, while we're on the subject of Doctor Who,
yeah.
Some news dropped.
Yes,
this
it
week.
Did.
We've got a premiere date,
Yep.
folks. If you haven't heard it yet, and if you haven't seen it posted on the Billion Pod Facebook page, October the 7th.
Yes.
We are getting our first
finally get
new Doctor Who in quite a while. And it's a new Who with a new Who.
Yes.
And I am pumped for it.
So excited.
Just be prepared, people. It's a new Doctor, so whether it's a male or female, there's always that period of, I'm not sure about this Doctor.
No, there's always a period of, I hate this person. Why can't we have Peter Capaldi back?
Well, or why can't we have Matt Smith back?
Exactly.
Or why can't, yes, exactly.
that will happen for 3 episodes. So
right. So just,
gear up for that.
Don't, don't put your uneasiness and dislike of the Doctor, the fact that she's a woman this time. It's because it's a new Doctor. Just wait.
Yeah.
She'll be fine. They didn't just cast any old person.
No. No.
They know what they're doing.
Well, the other controversy about it.
Oh gosh.
Well, it's not controversial.
Her horrible outfit.
Nothing about. Well, the outfit we'll get used to, but it wasn't about her. It was about the showrunner Chris Chibnall. Yeah. Basically said, no Cybermen, no silence, no we're not going to see almost anything that you've seen before, and maybe some Daleks down the line. So he was like, which I was like, good,
I'm fine with that.
Let's
get some new. I mean,
do something different.
The Angels were new at one point,
right?
Obviously Cybermen and Daleks were,
but they were
old.
new at some point.
Well, yes, exactly. So maybe they've got something else new coming up. And you know what? That's fine.
You remember when the Silence started? They were fucking great.
Exactly. So I'm totally fine with that, because to be honest with you, I mean, they've done some new and innovative things with Daleks, but at a certain point you're like, oh, it's a Dalek episode. All right.
Yeah.
And most of the time, like, all right, that's clever. But Daleks have been done to death.
Yeah.
And unless they've got some real creative, cool angle for it, which they've come up with in the past, not saying that that's not possible.
Just do something different.
Yeah. If you make it your own, because this is his first year, complete year.
It's always a good time, like, when you change showrunners and change doctors, like
Right.
start fresh. I mean,
mean,
yes,
it's-
don't ignore history, but
Right.
do something.
Yeah, don't go against previous
You
history.
basically
You don't
have
to
free
bring-
reign and a blank slate. You know,
Right.
they always change the TARDIS too. I'm excited to see what her TARDIS
Ooh,
looks
that's
like.
right. I forgot about
They always redo
So help
it.
me God, if anything in that TARDIS is pink, I'm going to
It's
call
not-
bullshit.
It's not going to be that.
Thank God.
It's not going to be.
It's
that.
a lady TARDIS. Like, oh, fuck
No,
off.
she's just the doctor. That's all.
Exactly. She's the
You know?
doctor.
And I still contend that we can thank Neil Gaiman for that, making that canon, because in the Doctor's Wife, his episode,
Mm-hmm.
which if you watch it is just it's such an out of place episode because it was written from the perspective of a 10-year-old Doctor Who fan himself when he was, you know, and it's but there's a line in there where they find the cubes. I forget what they are, like the consciousness cube or like the message cubes, and it was the Corsair, who is another Time Lord, and they said something about the fact that, you know, he was a lady at one point and a man at one point or something, and it's like, okay, they've made it canon that they can switch gender when they regenerate. It doesn't have to. Well, actually, and they did it in Hellbent too, when the one Gallifreyan general, like when the Doctor pulls Clara into the time vortex or whatever, and he's like, how many regenerations you got? And he's like 9 or something, and he shoots him, and it turns into the black lady who looked very much like Denai Guerrero from Black Panther.
Right.
They were like, yeah, okay, we're gonna let you know that this is gonna be a thing. We're gonna gear up. So
All right. I'm still holding out hope for Idris Elba as the Doctor or as James Bond. I'll take either.
yeah,
I'd be happy I'd rather
hoping
have him be Bond.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he's too big at this point to be.
Well, he's
TV.
too big in England. He's not nearly as big over here as he is in England, but he's over there. He's Luther.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
he's already in that kind of He's
I think
popular.
that's true. I mean, he does do TV, so.
And you have to think about, this is a British show for British people made in Britain. Now, obviously, it has, you know, worldwide appeal. So casting choices are going to be more dictated by, you know, somebody. If somebody's really huge in Britain and unknown in America, they're not going to cast them necessarily as the Doctor, because they already kind of like putting Tom Cruise in a Mummy film. It's like, hey, I thought this was supposed to be the Mummy, not the Tom Cruise Mummy film.
Right. Mission
So,
Impossible
Mummy edition, or you know,
Mummy Protocol.
Mummy Protocol, exactly. You know, and so I think the idea of having some of your, I don't want to say B level, but B level as far as fame wise, you know, they might be known, because obviously Capaldi was very well known in England,
Absolutely.
but not, you know, walk down the street mobbed by girls, Beatles style. Well known, respected, had done some good stuff, and was a good choice. Whereas, you know, you don't cast, you know, Anthony Hopkins, for lack of a better example.
I get you. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you take it to where it's a reasonable level of fame, so that you don't bring in all their other roles and identities into the Doctor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you see somebody in a new role, you're like, you know.
And if you look at it, you know, they've kind of done that since the reboot. You know, I mean, I don't, you know, Eccleston was a working actor. He was well known, but he wasn't, you know, iconic in something else.
Right. Exactly.
Tennant as well.
Exactly. And now they are. Now they are iconic.
Right. It just has to
role.
go that direction.
Exactly.
You can't take somebody that, unless you go do like Helen Mirren or something, when you go completely.
Or John Hurt.
Yes. Yeah, that was on purpose. That was
yes.
completely on purpose.
Yeah.
You know.
And I tell you, if we can get Helen Mirren to, I guess, is like old Doctor or something, like an older version of, I mean, I don't know, I just want Helen Mirren to do, that's all I care about. Even if she's walking by in the street and they nod at each other and that's it, Helen Mirren will have been in an episode of Doctor Who and I will be happy.
There was there's an argument because there was a Red Nose Day.
Yes. Those videos are the best.
Yeah, which is it's a charity that started in England and it's made its way over
it has.
here.
I think last year or earlier this year.
I saw things here, like
was
at
the
Walgreens.
it was the
buy
first
Red Nose.
time they had really done a push.
It was
kind of
like Comic Relief that we did here.
Right, exactly.
Which
was pretty much exactly
taken
the
from
same
that,
thing.
yeah.
But the great thing about Red Nose Day is that casts of shows, and sometimes shows that have been canceled, will reunite and do comedy sketches based on the show. I mean, the ones that Downton Abbey did were amazingly funny.
Really?
Oh my gosh! Oh, I was out on the lawn, in a skirt, scandalous, or just weird stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
Catherine Tate did one where it was her Scow. I don't know what the accent is. A character.
Oh,
I'm not,
Scouse.
Yeah, I'm not bothered. It was her in the high school, and they had a substitute teacher, and it was David Tennant. And through the whole sketch, the character Catherine Tate's going, "But you're the doctor, aren't you? The doctor? Do you fancy Rose Tyler?" And finally, at the end, he was like, he pulls out the sonic screwdriver and he hits it. Yeah,
That's the weird kind of stuff that there's really no place for that anywhere else.
Right. So there's somewhat of an argument because there was a Red Nose Day episode where Rowan Atkinson was the doctor, as was Joanna Lumley was the doctor.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah,
I need to see that.
And so it's like there already has kind of been a female doctor.
Yeah, go on YouTube and just put in Red Nose Day. I'm not sure the availability of everything, but there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, there's a fun one with there's a fun Matt Smith, Arthur Darvill, Karen Gillan one that they did. So they're really, really super fun.
Yeah, well, that's thanks to a precursor to Red Nose Day, which is the comic relief in England. We have the cast of the Young Ones reunited. I mean, pretty shortly after the series ended.
Okay.
Doing Cliff Richard's Living Doll. There's a video for it.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. So we're they've only done, I think, that and maybe one other thing as the Young Ones after the show ended, and then that was it because
they moved on. Yeah,
they moved on. As much as I would love to have more Young Ones, even when Rick was alive, like it doesn't work.
Yeah,
they're old ones now.
Right
now they could get together as quote unquote the Young Ones for a Red Nose Day and do something funny, but that's not really that show. I don't think that they would do that.
And it's one of those things, I've often thought about this with Firefly. It's like, would Firefly be as beloved if we were in season 5 right now?
Who knows? Well, I've always said, it's the Beatles that broke up in technically 69, and the Rolling Stones went on. What if it had been in reverse?
Yeah.
The Stones would be revered, and the Beatles would be like, yeah, I go and see them live sometimes, but their last 10 albums were crap. It's just something about when when somebody dies or a band ends, all of a sudden it's like,
or a TV show gets canceled.
Exactly. It's like, oh, now I'm paying attention. Like, well, if you had paid fucking attention to us when we were still doing the thing, maybe it wouldn't have been canceled,
right?
Or maybe we wouldn't have broken up, or who knows? So, any other interesting tidbits from?
Yes, the one last thing. Speaking of TV shows that were canceled, I was also able to complete my set because Gina Torres from Firefly was there.
Okay.
And there's a funny story behind that too, because I have a friend named Russell at work who we were chatting about DragonCon. He goes every year and everything. And at one day, I don't know, about 3 months ago, he said, "Yeah, watch. I'll be on my honeymoon when DragonCon rolls around. It'll be the first time that Gina Torres will ever come." And I had to text him a picture like, "Hate to break this to you, brother." He was like, "I might have a mission for you." And I said, "I know exactly what it is, and I accept the mission." Because
so the mission was actually he was going to go to DragonCon, and you were going on the honeymoon with his
to Scotland with his
wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's the proper nerd decision,
right? Well, what he is in possession, and I didn't get to screw him on it because he's like, "Oh, I have this book that I have almost all signatures from the it's a Firefly book that I own from the cast." He goes, "I've got everybody but Gina Torres and Joss." And I was like, cool. I thought it was the same book I had, and I was going to get the autograph for him and then give him mine just to mess with him.
You're like, where have all the autographs gone?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. But I was able to Saturday we kind of wandered in there, and the line was out the door, and I was like,
for Gina Torres?
For Gina Torres, okay. Yeah. And I was like, we don't have time, because it was right before. No, That's not right. We had something we had to be at, and I was like, there's no time. So Sunday came around, and I was like, okay, here's what we're doing.
Thankfully, she was still there on Sunday.
She was. I made sure.
Okay.
I said, okay, here's what we're doing. We're getting up. We're having breakfast. We're going directly to her line on Sunday and see. And as we walked up to the Walk of Fame, there was one of the doors. There was people outside, and I walked up. I was like, "Is this the Gina Torres line?" And the guy was like, "No, I think the line is still inside." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good sign." So I walked over, and there was an overflow area, and there was a whole bunch of people in it. And I was like, "Okay, which is the Gina Torres line?" He goes, "Oh, just this one." And it wasn't the whole section, so there was only about 8 people in front of us. I was like, "Beautiful." So we were able to do that. We got up to her. She was taking pictures at the table. It was a little more expensive than it should have been, but it's still she was lovely. I told her the whole story about the book, and then I said, I've met all my friends, and she was delightful. We took a picture with her, so I was like, got everybody except for Joss Whedon, obviously. But
that's gonna be a tough get.
That's gonna be a tough get.
That's more a travel to Comic-Con.
Yes. If you're lucky.
And then not get it there either.
Yeah, because he won't do it. Either he won't do it or you'll never get near him, is what it is.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think who we went to Nick Frost's one of Nick Frost's panel, which I didn't think we were going to get into, and we got perfect, like right in the back, dead on seats. He was fucking hilarious. Just irreverent and just being all Nick Frost about it. There was a really cool event the one night. An actor friend of Courtney, her dad plays in a giant swing band, and they were doing swing dancing lessons with a full swing band.
Oh, man.
In one of the ballrooms, and they were dynamite.
That's something right there. I would not do any of the dancing, but I'd go for the music because I am a huge fan of aggressively upbeat swing big band music.
And they were doing all kinds of standards, and it was so cool. And they did a swing arrangement of the Cantina Band music, and they did the entire Family Guy suite. Like they did the whole extended theme. So we hung out there for a long time, and they were dynamite. It was really, really cool. I'm trying to think of what else we did. We did a lot of running around, and we did a lot of costume panels because Courtney was really into it this year. So we kind of did that. We didn't do a lot of panels. We just weren't feeling it this year. And then, like I said,
and by Sunday you weren't feeling.
Sunday, we got up, we got the pictures, we did the picture with Capaldi. We went and had dinner, and then by the end of right as we were having dinner, I was like, I don't know how well I feel. And then we went back to the hotel. We went back on the bus. We came back to the Marriott, I want to say. No, it was the Hilton. We went to another panel that Courtney wanted to go to, and I just was like,
I'm done.
Decelerating fast. And I was like, I'm going back to the hotel. I'm not well, and I need to sleep. And she said, okay, I'll go with you. And we went back, and I had a bad night. And then Monday morning, she was like, we just need to go home. And so we cut it.
Did you have another night in the hotel?
No, it was Monday. It was the leave anyway, but we didn't go back to the con, is what I'm saying. Okay. And we never made it to the dealer's room, so we didn't buy anything.
You know what? I have never been in.
Really?
No. And I would, I do you even need a badge to get into the dealer's room?
Yeah.
Okay.
You do. You do.
I figured if you're going to go spend money.
At this point, you need a badge to get in anywhere. Like Friday, during the day, you can kind of wander into any of the hotels, but by nighttime, they like especially Saturday night, it's like, show me your badge, show me face, they are tight about it. And it's good because if not, it would be twice as many people, including drunk idiots who just want to fuck with people in costumes.
Exactly.
And
remember,
harass
people,
women. And
cosplay is not consent.
No, not at all.
She may be looking as sexy as a human being ever could, and just because she's dressed scantily does not mean you get to
do anything.
Even look just don't. Just don't. Just don't.
Be respectful. That's all.
Exactly. If you have to, walk by and give it a little side glance, very attractive, and then be done with it.
I mean, you can look at
appreciate the costume because she wore it because it's a costume, but don't be a dick.
Yeah. So successful DragonCon all around.
Yeah, I'm, hearing the stories makes me go, oh, I kind of wish DragonCon is rough for me. It's an endurance thing. And,
it's rough, man. It's not for the faint of heart. I looked at it, I had like 15,000 steps one day, walked 5-6 miles. And it's like,
I mean, for DragonCon, you almost need to train for it.
Almost.
Just about.
Well, that's kind of why I got sick, because we weren't prepared. We didn't have enough water. We didn't take enough vitamins. We were ill prepared.
You're an expert by now. You should know these things.
I know. It was a rookie mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I do look. I went for 2 years, and then I've been off the last 2 years, and there are certain people that I'm like, oh, they're going to be there. All right, I'll go to DragonCon, and if next year. If I go next year, the reason I'll be going is because...
Medication time. Medication time.
We ran out of time. I will tell you next week.
The 9 Million Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Beni Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lono. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the Office of Howard and Fine. Please, Mr. Hamill, please, please. Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen, watch on YouTube, listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, comlink@millionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOZ!
Audio Primate.